So I think I was, 12 or 11? I go to Thesis. You guys had the Tulu the song Snapback. I still have that Snapback in my mother's house to this day. And it's like, that was my first touch of Thesis. When you say Zolamdeni, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I grew up on it. I might be a bit disconnected, but I get it.
Yeah.
So when you're outside, you try to investigate and interrogate the process more than the next guy because I can't access G, so let me study about G. I can't access these clothes, let me study about these clothes. It's like the guys who can't afford sneakers will tell you more about sneakers.
So, based on that, because that's how there's that big division of traditional media and digital media that people, and things are slowly reversing back because you're getting people back into vinyl. There's a big magazine culture in Europe, in America. Do you think we need to go back there? Because that's how I, for one, grew up. My friend Mtutuzeli is here. He knows we used to share tapes. Every Friday...
Old.
Every Friday, recording mixes. Monday, share.
You're bootlegging. Damn.
You see? So, but it's a culture.
Yeah.
And it meant that we had to dig. So you hear the song, then you still have to dig for the song. Is there a need for us to go back? What's your view on traditional and digital? And
we creating the need for it. So I'll listen to an album and I'll deem it so good that I have to see it live.
Yeah.
When I see it live, I'm like, damn, it's not enough on the DSP. I need to hold it. Because it happened to me in real time. I have vinyls of albums I think are good enough.
To have.
Yes, because you guys had that experience that you'd go to a Musica and you'd put your headphones on and actually listen to the album, right?
Yeah.
So that's what these DSPs are for us. If it's good enough, we'll collect it. So as opposed to you just saying, I'm purchasing it to listen to it, for us, it's become like a memorabilia. It's as good as a signed copy at this stage. It's like, yo, I want to capture this time capsule. This is what I want to listen to. Also, there's a thing to physically holding things that changes your perspective. It's like I heard Jägermeister. Then but like when you have the ice cold shot, it's
and
like
the song plays.
Yeah, now it's like it's a 360.
Yeah.
It's like you're actually touching with this thing, you're interacting with this thing. So I think we're not going back, we're just cherishing things more. That's why you'll see more concerts. We just saw it Gabs of the Small.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing more and more things go back to people appreciating it. Also, that disconnect we got during COVID where it was like, yo, I couldn't interact with most things. Now we're doubling down on what we like.
How was COVID for you?
For me, it was liberating. It was liberating. I'd gone back to school after being in another school. So it's like after lights off, after dropping out of art, I go back to after I'm doing my degree, and then it's like, it's COVID. And I'm like, I was not ready. I was not ready for visual effects. I was not ready for post-production. That actually what ensued me going back to media. Yeah. Because during COVID, I was like, yo, it was the outfit thing during COVID. It was the sneaker battles, it was this. That's when I started my YouTube channel. Say, yo, it's 348 Select, which stands for Fit Select.
Fit Select, yeah.
Because when you type on your keypad, 3 is F-I-T, Select. It's a whole thing. Should come to the office. It's written on the door.
With that said, I know that you were into fashion. What did you want to do in fashion?
Me, I studied pattern making at Lysov. I wanted to do groundbreaking stuff. Same way with Aki. I wanted to do groundbreaking stuff. Then I was like, no, you can't. you can't. I hate being into things I can't get better at. You can't access enough fabric in South Africa. There's not enough people who can sew at that level. We don't have those type of machines. We don't have a market that actually understands fashion at that level. Also, it's like, I just want a T-shirt. I just want a jacket. Like, if you're gonna give me this crazy stitch, it's like, and then what?
So, the market for lack of a better word, like intellectual from connoisseurs, it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there. It's not there. It's not there. And back to that thing of saying you have to be realistic with your market.
Yeah.
You can't want to, like, Virgil Abloh could have made the most hectic furniture and he said, nah, let me go to IKEA. Let me make it for the kids' address. You want people to touch your product because what's the point of doing something that lives in your house?
What did he mean to you and for you? Because I actually got into Virgil late to understand how much of a genius he was. Not because I thought he was a bad person or anything, but my mind was not focused on him like that. But
Also, you're doing it. So it's hard to appreciate other people doing it.
True. But over the past 5 years, I've become such a Virgil fan. Like, and subsequently, he's opened me up into architecture and architects, and me sitting here and admitting that the best creatives are architects. And that's why I'm super interested in you wanting to study architecture.
Virgil means a lot because when you get the Donda crew, when you look at everything that's become, you involuntarily consume Virgil.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the minute you realize it's Virgil, it's like you're enamored by this idea that
one person.
Yes, one person. You don't also have a theory that he always knew was going to pass away. Because if you also look at what Donda was trying to do, it was to cure disease like the one he had. So when you look at it and you look at everything he's done, it's like the one thing about Virgil, he just showed you that you can do it better. It was never a situation of like, this T-shirt is perfect. It was like, yeah, but we can add the quote on it. That makes it better. It's that 3% rule of like, you can do it better. That's what he meant to me. It was like, I can do it too. It's like, Mr. Me Too, Pharrell, I can do it too.
Yeah. Then we get to this part where you are now in Joburg, you are now in Juta. What do you want to do when you're here? Once solar,
I went to Mauta, Fry, what was the store? RHTC.
RHTC.
I go to RHTC, I'm like, yo, bro, can I get a rail? It's crazy. Tabang had just walked out with the mbatata. Remember the mbatata with the dead on them? You had walked out the shop. They were on display on the window. I walk in. I look at the clothes. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm seeing like unicorns, everything in real time. Think Ole had took me there. Ole Rata was like, he was in Joburg a bit earlier than me. We met on campus. Like, yo, these are the spots. You know, you can know an area, but you don't know the hot spot and the hot time to be there.
Yeah.
It's like someone can say, come to Bram. Like, if Jägermeister's not here, it's dead. At this time. Yeah. There's a time and place. So he takes me, I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is the time. Back to Virgil. You DIYing, you're cutting denim, you're doing this, you're doing that, making a couple of T-shirts, printing them, never sell them. And I'm like, yo, what would it take for me to be here? And that prompted me to go make my first collection that we had a lookbook and never released. I still have that footage. It was like, the gratification came from doing it. Once I was done with it, I was like, oh, cool. Because I was still stuck in that mind state that I'm going to change fashion, right? Once I did it, I was like, oh, cool, great. Let me go buy a Salt T-shirt. It was like, yo, it's this grand idea. And after you release it and you exhale, you realize that it was greater as an idea. Some things are just for you. And I think that's also another thing we've been discussing a lot within my friend group for the past 2 years, is practicing creative restraint.
Tell us more.
So practicing creative restraint, just because you have an idea and you think your idea would work doesn't mean it should work right now. Just because we feel like this thing should be in the expo center in Sandton doesn't mean it should be that right now. You have to restrain your ideas and also let your ideas morph. We've lost this idea of 1 + 1 = 2. Because of social media, I post this thing, it's 10K views. I'm not realizing that it's 10K views because this thing was triggering people. It's not even helping. Like, you're not even helping people at that stage. You're just triggering people.
Yeah.
I posted this thing and I inspired people. It doesn't mean this thing is a thing.
Yeah.
Let me see this thing become a thing from baby steps. Okay, cool, let's invite this person to come. Because also when we did the podcast, it was a blind podcast. It's the craziest backstory to podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone who came to the podcast will tell you they came in, they were sitting in a line like they were in a clinic. They didn't even know why they came. I said, yo, Kito, please come.
Yeah.
Let's talk. He's like, sure, what time? Yo, Sbanbani, please come. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Because you have to see if you really want to do things.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost that thing. We all putting our first draft on full blast. It's like, dog, what happened to just, yo, this thing is good. Can I do this thing 10 more times?
Yeah.
Okay, after I do it 10 more times, can I do it 20 more times? Okay, cool. Then Mashudu comes to me, he's like, yo, dog, you've been recording a lot. I ain't seen or heard anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, now it's finally cooked. Like, the podcast came as a result of we walking. We coming from, I think it was then Mangrove.
Yes.
We walking up the road. I didn't even grab lunch. I was meeting my friend. Said I must pick him up. We walking, we like, let's go buy something at the store. As we walking, Phil Pila calls us. He's from on top of Corner Juta De Beer by the old Lucha studio. He's like, yo, come up. Like, sure, we come up. Introduces me to Mash. He's like, yo, Mash, this is the guy who does Sneaker Coast. That was my sneaker show at the time. I wanted to review sneaker culture, not sneakers.
Okay.
Right? He comes at that time, we're talking. Phil's like, you'd make a great podcast. Mash is like, let me see what you mean.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, we had just shot the archive campaign that we were about to do as Sneaker Coast. So we show him that, and he's like, oh, this is crazy. This guy's walking on water. He's like, who is this guy? Why does this even matter? But he's like, yeah, sure, you guys can try it out. Phil, I trust you. So it was literally on some, Phil, I trust you. I've seen your work, but Phil, I trust you. So we're like, okay, cool, let's test drive this idea. Let's shoot 5 episodes in one day. And the only day he had open was a Sunday, because like, I don't trust you, dog. I don't know your flow. And the name Corner Juta and De Beer came from because we wanted to do merch for Sneaker Coast. And we're like, the real sneaker heads were always on Corner Juta and De Beer, so we're going to put it. I speak in third person and say we, but it's always me. It's always me. It's like, on the invoice, it's we, though. Don't forget that. So we're sitting together, and it was like, it came from the idea of wanting to make the new Destroy Today jacket.
Yes.
It came from that. It was like, that's Corner Juta and De Beer. We sit down. Part of the top 5 interviews is Wade Munsami. Wade is a designer. You know Wade. If you don't know Wade, Google Wade. Really good for it. I'm like, yo, Wade, can you make something? It's like, it's so outlandish, the entitlement you have when you don't know things. It's like, this guy is designing for brands as big as Jaeger, and I'm like, yo, design this for me. He's like, yeah, sure. And eventually he was like, when it's time to take out the episode, I call Fry, like, let's do it. Fry's like, let's do what? I'm like, let's do it. Let's do what? No, let's do it. He gets here, he's like, okay, cool, explain. And it's also that thing of treating people like humans. Because when you meet Fry, you still have to be human. Regardless of
your
when I went to the shop and I wanted this collection, and at that time it didn't collect, it didn't arrive at the shop. It's understanding that we're all human, and that's why to this day my pinned tweet is don't judge people for the moments they failed you. Because there's more beauty to people than that. If you let me down today, it doesn't mean tomorrow you won't lift me up.
Because ultimately you meet people at the moment that they are.
Also, I'm a bad guy too, man. So I accept that there's some badness to people, but as much as I'm a bad guy, there's so much beauty to me.
So how much do you, or maybe let me phrase it this way, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Because sometimes that's the issue that we have as creatives, as we ideate so much.
That doesn't exist, my brother.
You don't have.
It's a lot of arrogance and knowing I'll do it myself. I might not get it today, I might not get it tomorrow, but I'm going to get it.
But is it that to that...
With everything.
Is it to that creative constraint?
I design my own logos. I shoot my own shows. I edit my own things. I write my own scripts. I promote myself. Because if I can't afford you, I'll do it. And if I can't do it, I'll force myself to find a way to do it.
I like that energy. But I guess it's a DIY mentality. It's to your point, you can get through it at some point.
Here's the thing. If you believe in something strong enough, you'll do it. And if you don't believe in something strong enough, your instincts tell you not to do it because you're not supposed to do it. Every time you feel like you shouldn't do things and you do them, you'll pay the price. Whether it's today or tomorrow, you'll pay the price.
That's dope. I like that idea of creative constraint. But more than anything, it also speaks to time. I was watching something, and this guy essentially says, because you've got all these ideas, doesn't mean you need to launch them at that time. Because in as much as you have this idea, you and the time meet, So you think of the boom of, whether it's podcasting, whether it's people cooking, they had to be COVID for that boom to happen. There had to be this pause. This time was a pause so that people can know that, I've got this idea that I've always wanted to do. I've got this creativity that I've always wanted to show. So that restraint also is to time.
Yeah, you can't fight time.
You can't fight
You
time.
can't fight time. Like, we still want flying cars, but you can't fight time.
Yeah. I want to open up the questions to the floor and to the digital floor. And yeah, if anyone's got a question, where the mic at?
Damn, super engaging crowd.
Hello?
Is the mic okay? Okay, so. Tested?
Hello? Yes. You spoke very fondly about you always being a student, and judging from the amount of courses that you studied and left behind.
Shout out to my moms.
And the sharing of knowledge. And you've put in your 10,000 hours to be deemed good at what you do. What is happening in your life now when the students are coming to you to seek the knowledge, and not when you're doing it with someone who's a master of what they do, but someone who's genuinely looking at you and want to attain what you've done? How's that process been? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And I think what is helping you about that process become a better student yourself as well?
I think the first moment it really hit that, yo, one, I'm old now because people think my opinion matters. Two, we were doing the live show and he comes to me, he's like, yo, this thing was great, bro. I made Laduma, I make t-shirts. Yo, this thing was like, yo, I'm hearing you guys talk. I'm hearing this guy brought a hype beast to Africa. It's great, but like, what does it mean to me, dog? what am I supposed to do with all this info? It's like, it's an idea that we can touch it, right? And then we came up with this idea, once again, me, we came up with this idea that, yo, it's not enough to talk to people or professionals. Let's create an avenue for people to learn, right? We've been pitching this idea of masterclasses to various brands. It finally touched with a brand can't mention right now. And with them, it was like, yo, we want to do this thing where we can actually help people. For me, the next avenue of Kona Juta and De Beer is all about skill sharing, right? Because I'm realizing I can't touch everyone at the same time. Also, I have no context for everyone. Not everyone wants to be a broadcaster, but mainly what I do is strategize. That's what I do on a day-to-day. I'm answering emails and figuring out a better way to do this thing, right? And in growing the team, it's also understanding that, yo, I need more people to be able to acquire skills. Because right now, there's a lot of cats who want to shoot. They don't have access to a camera. So if we have the power to say we have an audience, can we bring that camera company to teach them with a crash course with Stephen Obi? Is that something we can do? Is something we pitching? Is something we keep fighting every day? Also justifying why you need to do something for people who are not famous is also a tricky thing in boardrooms. It's like, yo, I'm just trying to get the kid from Katlehong to come experience your camera. And to brands, it's like, that's a far-fetched idea. It's fine. We're just trying to meet the people who are actually trying to purchase this thing in real time. Yeah. It's a weird thing to get people to invest in something that doesn't have immediate returns for them. And that's why you'd find they want to cross-pollinate their brands. And they'll do influencer campaigns. Shout out to influencer campaigns, but influencer campaigns are not influencing or infiltrating lives fast enough. Because if one kid learns how to shoot properly, because you seated us with the camera and allowed us to hire a professional to teach them, we have more kids who can be models. It's a trickle-down system that, like, it's weird. You would think people with power want the next generation to be better, so they have more spending power. But it's not the case. I hope I answered your question.
I love your socialist view. You like me. Any questions from the floor? Or Wandile is there?
Sure.
Sure.
Fana, what is the business of podcasting?
Yeah.
Where do you make your money from podcasting? I mean, I also ask this based on looking at podcasting from a global perspective. It's like the big podcast, you know. Trevor Noah retired and voila, he was doing Spotify. You know the money is with Spotify. So I'm asking from a point of view of, so you teach me. I'm asking from a point of view of a young kid who has like basic equipment in their bedroom, and they want to do this. How would they make money?
The business of podcast is not YouTube. It's not a DSP of any form. We love the DSPs, but that's not where the business is. The DSPs are there to propel your idea, right?
They're
To give you the platform, and all these platforms are free, right? So that's what they do. If they catch on, you enter the right words, you'll show up at the right time. That's what's perfect about podcasting, because it's a free market. It's like rapping. Everyone can rap, but not everyone's going to be Blackie. But the business of podcasting then becomes in being a strategist for the podcast. Because when you're a strategist for the podcast, you also start to understand who the niche is. Like, who are you talking to? Why are you talking to these people? When are you talking to these people? Because you'll spend 10,000 hours talking to everyone. You'll get 1,000 views. You'll get 100,000 views. You won't get a partner. Because when you go to a partner, you still have to explain who you're talking to, why you're talking to, when are you talking to them, and why does that benefit them? You have to be selfless in the business of podcasting, one, with your content, because it's a continuous cycle. You have to communicate with your audience. And I feel like a lot of creators also, they don't care to tell us things. It's like you'll get a deal with Meister and you won't even post. You're just going to repost. It's like, dog, it's Meister. Do you understand the magnitude of what's happening right now? Create a reel, call your friends, do the drone shot, make it a theatric, build this moment for us so us as the audience understand why you're doing this thing to begin with. People are going into things that are not fulfilling their end of the deal. That's a new problem we're facing. And then secondly, the business of podcasting, once you understand your market, you will then understand who you have to sell it to. Companies don't care about numbers. They care about what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it. But most importantly, how does that benefit them? If they wanted numbers, they could have boosted their posts. Like, a lot of people are forgetting that part. It's like, yo, dog, I don't need 1 million followers. If Jägermeister wants the thing to be seen, they will just boost it. But they come to you for your community. How do you nourish your community? Who's your community? Like, the biggest podcast in South Africa right now is facing the biggest problem. You can't actually niche down who the community is. You can't explain why you watch it. It can't just be entertainment. What type of entertainment are you giving us? Are you giving us sports? Are you giving us opinion-based? It's too risky. It's a business. Where do you align your thing where we can look at it and say, okay, cool. In 6 months, when this thing releases, you will still be good for it. That's where the business starts. When you look at it, it's like clothing. When you guys do it, you do the summer collection in January. People see it in September when the lookbook drops. They're not factoring in when was it produced, when was the lookbook shot, who costed the models, why does it have to be released at this time, where's the costing, did we factor Black Friday sales as well? So there's so many things that you have to factor in doing this thing because it's a business, it's not a hobby. And that's the part I need most corporates to understand. This thing is not a hobby. It's a business that feeds families. We have people who work for us. We have people who rely on these incomes to come in. And I really, really hate the idea of multinationals negotiating. That's probably my biggest problem right now. It's like you'll pay for a performance that lasts 30 minutes, but you won't pay for something that's going to live on the internet forever on your platform. That makes no sense to me, but that's just me being a communist.
Next question.
Without giving away too much, right? You spoke about content and creating content, and we all know that content is king and content is key.
Thank you.
Yes. So in the space of somebody who is in Kokatlehong, like you had mentioned, they want to create the content and they want it to be seen by the right people. What would be your, let's say, your 5-step to them?
It's the 5 W's. Why? Who? When? Literally, if you answer every one of those questions, it's like, I was talking to Nandi, Mama Shara. Nandi was like, it's a SWOT analysis. Like, everything you've learned before you hit grade 7 is everything that carries you once you leave higher education. The relationships you've built, how you treat people, how you treat your business, how you position it, how risk averse are you? Because also, you do get the dream partner. You do get the dream everything. Are you ready for that 90-day payment? Can you afford that 90-day payment?
The things that they never teach you.
They never teach you. Yeah. It's like, yo, dog, this deal just worked out. Hey, dog, we ate that money. We had to produce the whole thing. Yeah. It's like by the time it came out, we done. We already looking at the next thing. How do you position yourself for the next thing? Because if you say you're a kid in Katlehong, you want your content to be seen, who's the ideal target market? Who do you represent? There's also the other thing where it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fly dude. I can talk to the streets, but I can talk corporate. And that's the privilege of also going to school,
Yeah.
you know?
So, with that said, who's teaching you business? Because especially amongst the black community, we don't know so many people who are doing business. It's only now, in the last 20 years, that we can pinpoint business people. But who's teaching you business?
At first, I used to make the call, right? I'd make the call, yo, Fry, you're doing this campaign, I'm doing this campaign, how much should I charge? Fry would be like, yo, benchmark it at 15 to 30, right? And then I was like, wait, that's not my context.
Yeah.
When you're charging in business, you charge for your context. As much as I'm the one editing, I'm the one uploading, I need to charge you like there's someone doing it.
Yeah.
When you want me to repost, like if we're doing this thing, it's living on YouTube, we charge for YouTube.
Yeah.
It's going live on Instagram, we charge for live Instagram.
Yeah.
Always ask for the deliverables to be explained. And if you're the one pitching, you give the deliverables of what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. It's easier to price for things when you know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I'm going to be talking,
Scope of
then
work.
I'm charging you for talking.
Yeah.
But before I even talk, I need to charge you for research. Because if I'm going to sit next to you, I need to know what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
6 hours of my day gone. That's calls I need to make. That's the airtime advance I need to make. Who's paying for that?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. If I have to go to coffee with Debs or for Debs to tell me who you are, to contextualize everything on a more human level, it's still a cost to business. So it's understanding what the costs to business are at all times. It's like, especially if they come to you and they say they have 10K, they don't have 10K. That's the benchmark. Push for 30.
Yeah.
Push for 30 at all times. But sometimes you'll charge them in the future. There's some things that are worth more to you than they are to them.
You must hold
So
on.
if you know what the platform and what's going to... Because also you can't say, hey, I'm on Jägermeister. No, the Jägermeister is focalistic, dog. You also need to understand that Jägermeister is young standard. What is it doing it for you? What are you doing out of this opportunity? If I'm performing here, can I get my crew to come shoot this? Can I make this a moment for me? How do you monetize on the moment that's created for you? Because they've given you the leeway to say, okay, cool, come, now be on our stage, we'll pay you a rate. Let's say your rate is 10K. Cool, in that 10K, you were never planning for that money. If you live at home, even better, because you don't have rent. So now you're like, okay, cool, Steven, how much is your rate? Yo, Steven, dog, I have 7K. I just need the raw footage. I'll ask my homie who knows how to edit. Please shoot this thing. Upload that on your YouTube. I need to have the musical rights. That's your live performance. That's your streams. That's more your audience gets to interact with your product once again. And also, it's a celebration for you. People are getting booked for gigs and charging enormous prices, but they don't do after movies for their own things. It's like, dog, you got booked. You charged them 25 bands. It was a moment, but we don't even know it's a moment besides the poster. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Move with the crew. You said you're serious, Moss. In the boardroom, you said, yeah, dog, us we with it, us we reach these many people. Rich people also. Show your people once again. Because now we're wanting things that we're not offering. We're wanting opportunities that we're not creating for ourselves. How am I supposed to go in business if I don't create business?
Yeah. That's dope. Questions from the floor? Oh, Diti, how are you?
Hey, how's it, guys?
Hey,
Nice seeing the two of you talking.
we're
it's
cute now
actually
with our matchy.
hella.
Shut up,
One
pieces.
One is a comment, and the next will be a question. Well, an observation, and the next will be a question. So the observation is, I mean, you from Fuller, and the brand interviewing you. Well, G, who represents Thesis, is from Fuller. Like, what does that do to you?
It's crazy. it's
That's the first observation.
Shout.
Then the question is, like, from experiencing all of that, like, then what are your words to the youth? Because I even said to you, hey, you are the voice of the youth. As bold as you are the voice of the youth, you know? So yeah, those are my observation questions, yeah.
The thesis story, it's a beautiful one. It's like literally, Maltati takes George Koch, it passes thesis, right? It's like this moment where you've passed this thing. There were moments you couldn't afford this thing. There were moments you appreciated this thing. There were moments you saw this thing on music videos. And now this thing is seeing you. There's a beauty in loving someone who loves you. And in that moment, it feels like that. It's like, okay, cool. They see me, see them, the same way I saw them. It's like I intentionally wore the thesis drop pattern You get what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, no, I'm aware. Like, when we spoke a couple of months back, I was like, I need that. I had to get it off the market to say, I need that.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things, the power of just putting things closer to you. Like, the things you love, bring them closer to you. If I love Jägermeister, let me buy it. You know? If I love Thesis, let me buy it. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you keep that energy, it also allows for that energy to be kept, you know? And then secondly, my word to the youth, sure. Sure.
What's your, maybe before you give us your word to the youth, what's your view of the youth at this moment?
And these dudes are faster. And they fast. They fast. They just need good packaging. They fast. It's like when you go to that one fast food joint and the food is great and it's like, damn, I wish you guys had a logo. I wish you guys were on Uber Eats. I wish I could access you at all times.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like dudes are moving so fast, which is it's the give and take of the Virgil effect. You can do it yourself, but there's no need for a fashion week, dog. Drop a T-shirt. Let us support you in real time.
Yeah.
There's no need. Like, grow your idea day by day. Let us know what your staple piece is. I think a lot of people don't know the effect of, like, the Thesis bucket hat.
Yeah.
It's like, get your Beyonce product, that one thing that actually works. Don't try to do 500 looks. You can't afford it. One. Two, allow people to actually purchase and see if they like this thing. Because also it gives you real-time feedback. It also gives you a chance to what? Not think about recouping money, but to think about making money. Because we find ourselves as young creatives in this rat race of saying, if I get this check, I can do that. You shouldn't be in that process. You should be in a position and in a place where you're creating things because things are actually creating room for you to create things.
That's dope. Do we have any questions from online? Oh,
There's a
I've
question
got
also.
one more question on the floor. Then, yeah.
I have, I think, one last question. At some point, I heard you speak about making sure that content is not misleading. At the very same time, it's not triggering. So how do you make sure, in terms of research, that everything you're talking about is validated? And also, if I have content that's triggering, does it mean that it's not informative? Because if I'm talking to you, I'm trying to trigger something, whether positive or negative. So if it's triggering, are you saying it's not informative? But if it's not, then how do we make sure that we go to references to calm people down in terms of how much you've triggered them? I don't know if you get me.
I get you. I want to sit like this and face you. Everyone likes to watch an accident happen. It's the darkest thing about humans, right? And that's what happens when you trigger people. We were watching an accident happen. Do you want to create content that trauma bonds and then becomes nothing after? Because you'll get the views. Trust me, you'll get the views. A Musa Kaula platform is huge. I'm there too. The biggest platform in this country is 1 million subscribers. I'm there too. But it's an accident happening. We all like, because it's about sustainability. Why are you doing it? It's back to the 5 Ws at all times. Why are you doing it? If you're doing it for the views, yo, we'll watch your accident. We'll be there. We'll take videos. We'll post it. We'll all say, I can't believe it. But we'll be like, damn, this thing is dark, bro. Like, the more you create things with good reasoning, the more sustainable those things are, because you can also measure how far you can take those things. But if your thing is a thing that relies on a moment, are you really doing something? So that means this week, if there's no bad thing happening in the internet, your podcast sucks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Are you Sunday Times? You dip. You literally dip. If there's no headline, you dip. That's not sustainable, because creativity is not a hobby, it's a business. And within you running your business, try to find ways to project. Because if you can project, you can also see how far you can grow. You can also see how many people you need on your team. Because the minute you know who your team is, you know what your expenses are, and you know what your price is. And that's just it.
Dope.
Hope I answered your question.
Cool. Got questions online? Something? We're cool. All right.
Are we doing chess?
Did everyone get a cool shot?
Wait. Guys, cela ukubona iyege emoyeni. You want to cheers?
Yeah, we're gonna cheers. We're gonna cheers. I think the first thing, okay, it's not a toast. We'll just do one cheer, but I'll just wrap it up. Thank you, Lwazi, for your time, for your words, and thank you just for giving me and Jägermeister, people of Meister Market, the nuggets that we need to grow, to take something tangible. I can only wish more and grow and big for you. You're a good guy. Remain being a good guy. Then, yeah, the ice cool shot is for Meister Market. Thank you for coming back to the culture. Thank you for pouring so much into the space. Thank you for believing in Lwazi's idea that he saw when he was still in Eastern Cape. And yeah, to everyone, here's a cool shot. One love. Thank you.
Oh, also, can I do an outro? Cindy Swasegum Velisum special edition. Thank God for the savings. Yeah. Damn, you turned off my mic, bro. You turned off my mic. Damn. Shout out. Thank you.
Sharp.
Sounds like
Bing.